Have you ever noticed that when you say, I agree with you or that is correct in English, native speakers give you a weird look? Or maybe they smile politely, but something feels off? Well, here's the truth that no textbook will tell you. Native English speakers almost never use those phrases in casual conversation. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what they say instead. And more importantly, why these natural responses will make you sound completely fluent, even if you're still making grammar mistakes. I've been teaching English for over 10 years, and I can't tell you how many students have told me, Marcy, I know the grammar rules. I studied hard. But when I talk to native speakers, I feel like I'm speaking textbook English, and they're speaking something else. And you know what? They're right. There's textbook English, which is formal and correct and perfect for professional situations. And then there's everyday casual English, which is what people use with friends, with colleagues at the coffee machine, with people they're comfortable with. And the good news is, casual English is often easier and shorter. You just need to know what phrases to use. So let's dive in. Let's start with the phrase, I agree with you. This is perfectly correct English. If you say this, nobody is going to think it's wrong. But here's what happens in casual conversation. Someone says something, and instead of responding with the full sentence, I agree with you, native speakers usually just say one word, right, exactly, or totally. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're talking to a coworker, and they say, this meeting could have been an email. Now, you could respond with, I agree with you, and it's correct, but it sounds a little formal, a little distant. Instead, if you just respond exactly with energy and enthusiasm, suddenly you sound more natural, more connected, more like you're really in the conversation with them. Or you could say, right, with your voice going up at the end, which not only shows agreement, but also shows you're glad they said it. The tone here is super important. If you say right with a flat tone, like you're just acknowledging information, it doesn't carry the same warmth. But if you say right with your voice rising and some energy in it, you're creating a connection with the other person. Let me give you more examples. Your friend says, the weather has been crazy this week. You don't need to say, I agree with you about the weather. You just say, I know, right? Or totally, your neighbor says parking in this neighborhood is impossible. You respond, oh my God, right? See how much more natural and conversational these responses are? They're shorter, they're faster, they keep the energy of the conversation flowing. Now, does this mean you should never say, I agree? Absolutely not. There are perfect times to use I agree in a business meeting when you want to sound professional and clear, saying I agree with that approach is great. In a debate or discussion when you want to be explicit about your position, I agree works perfectly. When you're writing an email, especially a professional one, I agree with your assessment is appropriate. But in casual, everyday conversation, the shorter responses will make you sound more relaxed and natural. Now let's talk about another super useful response that native speakers use constantly, and that's for sure. This little phrase is incredibly versatile. You can use it to agree with someone, to confirm plans, to show enthusiasm, and it always sounds natural and friendly. Someone asks you, do you want to grab lunch? You can say, yes, definitely, which is correct. Or you can say, for sure, which sounds more casual and enthusiastic. Someone says, this traffic is terrible. You can respond, for sure, it's so bad today. You respond, oh, for sure. Someone asks, are you coming to the party on Saturday? You say, yeah, for sure. Here's what makes for sure really interesting. You can use it even when you're not 100% certain, but you want to be agreeable and keep the conversation positive. Let's say a friend suggests we should meet around 7 o'clock, and you're thinking maybe 7:30 would be better for you, but you don't want to complicate things right now. So you say, yeah, for sure, sounds good. And then later, you can adjust if needed. It's a way of showing agreement and positivity without committing to every tiny detail in that exact moment. Native speakers do this all the time. Another variation is just sure, which is even shorter. Want some coffee? Sure. Should we take this route? Sure. Why not? It's easy, it's quick, it keeps things moving. Now, there is one small thing to watch out with sure. If you say it with a flat, unenthusiastic tone, it can sound like you don't really care or you're not that interested. So make sure you put a little energy into it. Sure, with a smile in your voice, is positive and friendly. Sure, with a flat tone, might sound reluctant. Tone and energy matter so much in English, sometimes even more than the actual words you choose. All right, now I want to teach you a response that's going to save you in so many situations, and that's fair enough. This is absolutely brilliant because it's what native speakers say when they don't completely agree with someone, but they understand and accept the other person's point of view. It's the perfect middle ground between agreeing and disagreeing. Let me explain with an example. Imagine someone says to you, I don't like going to the gym. I prefer exercising at home. Now, maybe you love the gym. Maybe you think the gym is the best place to work out, but you don't want to argue with this person or make them feel bad about their preference. So you say, fair enough. What you're communicating is, okay, I hear you. I understand your perspective. It's valid, even though I might think differently. It's respectful. It's mature. It keeps the conversation friendly. Students often struggle with this type of situation because they think they need to either agree or disagree. Like those are the only two options. But fair enough gives you a third option that's so useful. You can use it in professional settings too. Your manager says, I think we should focus on the marketing campaign before we launch the new product. Maybe you had a different opinion, but your manager has made their decision. So you say, fair enough. I'll prioritize the marketing materials. It shows you're a team player, you're flexible. Or in everyday life, your roommate says, I can't do the dishes tonight because I have to finish a work project. You say, fair enough, I'll take care of them. You're not thrilled about doing extra dishes, but you understand their situation. And fair enough communicates all of that in two simple words. This phrase also works great when someone explains something to you that you didn't know before. Someone tells you, actually, the restaurant is closed on Mondays. You respond, oh, fair enough. I didn't know that. It's a nice way to accept new information without sounding defensive or embarrassed. Now we're going to talk about something that confuses English learners so much. But once you understand it, you'll hear it everywhere. And that's the phrase, yeah, no, and its cousin, no, yeah. I know this sounds completely illogical. How can yeah, no mean anything? How can you say yes and no at the same time? But trust me, native speakers use these phrases all day long, and they're not confused at all about what they mean. Let me break it down for you. Yeah, no means no, but you're softening the rejection. The yeah at the beginning acknowledges what the other person said. It shows you heard them, you understand them, and then the no is your actual answer. For example, someone asks you, "Do you want to go to the concert tonight?" And you can't go because you're busy. So you say, "Yeah, no, I can't make it. I have a work thing." The yeah is like saying, "I hear your invitation. I appreciate it." And the no is, "But I can't go." It sounds much friendlier and more natural than just saying no by itself. Now, no yeah means yes. The no at the beginning is dismissing any doubt or uncertainty, and the yeah is your actual answer. Someone asks, "Did you finish the report?" And you say, "No, yeah, I sent it this morning." The no is like saying, "Don't worry. Yes, I did it." Or someone asks, "Was the movie good?" And you say, "No, yeah, it was great." You're emphasizing the positive answer. Here's the thing. This is very casual, very colloquial English. And when you're first learning it, you need to pay attention to the context and the tone. Listen to how native speakers use it before you start using it yourself. Watch TV shows, listen to podcasts, and you'll start hearing yeah, no, and no, yeah constantly. At first, you might want to just understand it when you hear it, and then gradually start using it in casual situations with people you're comfortable with. I wouldn't recommend using it in a job interview or in very formal writing, but in everyday conversation, it makes you sound incredibly natural. Let me teach you another fantastic response that shows agreement and enthusiasm at the same time. And that's, "I know, right?" This is what you say when someone makes an observation or comment that you completely agree with, and you've been thinking the exact same thing. It creates instant connection and rapport with the other person. Imagine your coworker says, "The coffee in the break room is so bad." You respond, "I know, right? It's terrible." You're showing that you've noticed the same thing, you share their opinion, and you're on the same wavelength. Or a friend says, "This restaurant is always so crowded on weekends." You say, "I know, right? We should come on a weekday instead." It's enthusiastic, it's friendly, it moves the conversation forward naturally. The structure is important. It's "I know, comma, right," with a little pause between the two parts. If you run it together too fast, it can sound unclear. And you can add emphasis to show even more emotion. "I know, right?" with emphasis on the right means you really super agree. You can also just use right by itself in many situations. Someone says, "This homework assignment is so confusing." You respond, "Right? I don't understand it either." Just that one word, right, shows agreement, solidarity, shared frustration. It's so efficient and so natural. Here's an interesting cultural note. Younger people tend to use "I know, right?" more than older people, and in some regions, it's more common than in others. But everyone understands it, and it's not slang, it's just casual, standard English. If you watch American TV shows or movies, you'll hear this phrase dozens of times in every episode. Now, let me give you some bonus responses that are super short but super powerful. Instead of saying, "That is interesting," native speakers usually just say "interesting" with a thoughtful tone, or even just "huh," or "oh," or "wow." These tiny sounds and short words carry so much meaning in English, and they keep the conversation flowing naturally. If someone tells you a surprising fact, like, "Did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts?" You don't need to say a full sentence like, that is very surprising information. You just say, wow, really? Or even just, wow, or no way. The emotion and surprise in your voice does all the work. The same goes for other emotions. If someone tells you bad news, you might just say, oh no, or that's terrible, or even just, ugh. If someone tells you good news, you might say, amazing, or that's awesome, or nice. These short, emotional responses are what native speakers use constantly, and they make you sound much more natural and engaged in the conversation. Another super common one, instead of saying, I understand, native speakers usually say, got it, or okay, got it, or even just, okay. Someone explains how to get to their apartment, and you say, okay, got it, thanks. Someone tells you what time the meeting is, you say, got it. It's quick, it's clear. It confirms you received the information. In professional settings, you might still use I understand when you want to sound more formal, like in an email to your boss. I understand the deadline has been moved to Friday. But in spoken conversation, even in the office with your colleagues, got it is perfectly professional and much more natural. Let me talk about a few more really useful casual responses that you'll hear all the time. When someone apologizes to you, instead of saying, it is okay or I accept your apology, native speakers usually just say, no worries, or no problem, or don't worry about it, or even just, you're fine. Someone bumps in you by accident and says, oh, sorry. You respond, no worries, or you're good. It's casual, it's friendly, it immediately puts the other person at ease. Another great one is sounds good, or that works, or that works for me, when you're making plans or agreeing to something. Someone suggests, let's meet at 3 o'clock at the coffee shop on Main Street. Instead of saying, yes, I agree with that plan, you just say, sounds good, or that works for me. It's so much more natural. And here's one that students almost never learn in textbooks, but native speakers use constantly. Makes sense. When someone explains something to you, instead of saying, I understand your explanation, you just say, makes sense, or yeah, that makes sense. Your friend explains why they're changing jobs, and you respond, oh, that makes sense. A colleague explains the new office policy. You say, okay, makes sense. It shows you understood, you find the explanation logical, and you're following along. Now, you might be wondering, when should I use the more formal responses like, I agree, or certainly, or that is correct? Let me be really clear about this, because I don't want you to think those phrases are wrong or bad. They're not. They're perfectly good English, and there are absolutely times when they're the best choice. In professional writing, like business emails, formal reports, or academic papers, the more formal responses are usually better. If you're writing to you might write, I agree with your assessment of the market conditions. If you're writing a response to a professor, you might say, I certainly understand your concerns. In formal presentations or speeches, the formal language is more appropriate. If you're giving a presentation to clients and someone asks a question, you might respond, that's correct, yes, to sound professional and authoritative. In job interviews, especially in the early stages, you might want to err on the side of being more formal until you get a sense of the company culture. But here's the key. In normal, everyday conversation, even in the workplace with your colleagues, the casual responses I've taught you today are not only acceptable, they're actually what most people use most of the time. You can be professional and casual at the same time. You can say, Got it. I'll take care of that. To your boss, and it's perfectly professional in most workplaces. You can say, for sure, let's meet at 2 in a work email, and it's fine. The level of formality in English is flexible and depends a lot on context, relationship, and company culture. Let me give you some practical tips for learning and using these casual responses. First, this week, I want you to watch English TV shows or movies or listen to English podcasts and specifically pay attention to these short responses. You're going to start hearing right, for sure, fair enough, yeah, no, I know, right, and all the others everywhere. Take note of the context. Who's talking to who? What's the situation? What's the tone? This'll help you understand when and how to use these phrases naturally. Second, start small. Pick one or two of these responses and practice using them in low pressure situations. Maybe start with right and for sure because they're the easiest and most versatile. Use them when you're talking to friends, when you're chatting with other English learners, even when you're talking to yourself or thinking in English. The more you use them, the more automatic they'll become. Third, pay attention to tone and energy. These casual responses rely a lot on how you say them, not just what you say. Practice saying right with your voice going up at the end. Practice saying for sure with enthusiasm. Practice saying fair enough with a neutral, accepting tone. Record yourself if that helps, or practice with a friend. And fourth, don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you use one of these phrases in the wrong context or with the wrong tone, it's okay. Native speakers do that too sometimes. The important thing is that you're practicing, you're learning, you're getting more comfortable with casual English. Every conversation is an opportunity to improve. Here's something really important I want you to understand. Sounding natural in English is not about being perfect. It's not about never making grammar mistakes. Some of the most fluent English speakers I know still make small grammar errors, but they sound completely natural because they use the right phrases, the right responses, the right tone. They sound relaxed and conversational, and that's what these casual responses give you. They make you sound relaxed and conversational, like you're really part of the conversation, not just translating from your native language in your head. When you say, I know, right? Instead of I agree with you about that, you're not just using different words. You're connecting with the other person on a more casual, friendly level. You're showing that you're comfortable with English, that you're not just following textbook rules, that you're really communicating. And that's what language is all about: communication, connection, understanding. So let me summarize the main responses I taught you today. And I want you to write these down or remember them because they're going to transform your casual English conversations. Number one, instead of I agree, use right, exactly, or totally. Number two, instead of yes, definitely, use for sure or just sure. Number three, for that middle ground between agreeing and disagreeing, use fair enough. Number four, for softened responses, use yeah, no to mean no, and no, yeah for a more flexible agreement to mean yes. Number five, for enthusiastic agreement, use I know, right? And the bonus responses, use got it instead of I understand. Use sounds good instead of yes, I agree to that plan. Use make sense instead of I understand your explanation. Use no worries instead of it is okay. And use short emotional responses like wow or nice or oh no instead of full sentences. These are the building blocks of natural, casual English conversation. Before I finish, I want to remind you that learning a language is a journey, and every small step matters. Every time you use one of these natural responses instead of the textbook version, you're getting closer to sounding fluent and natural. Every time you pay attention to how native speakers actually talk, you're training your ear and your brain. Every time we practice, even if it feels awkward at first, you're building the muscle memory that will make these phrases automatic. So be patient with yourself, be proud of your progress, and keep practicing. If this lesson helped you today, I make videos like this every week teaching you real, practical, natural English that you can use immediately. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next lesson. And remember, you've got this. You're doing great. Thanks for learning with me today. And I'll see you in the next lesson.